Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Susanna from the Frollo community. We have a wonderful guest this evening for our expert meetup by the name of Alison. And Alison's going to introduce herself in a little second. So I will hand over to Alison and I'll keep back over here just in case you need me. Okay, thank you very much, Alison.
Thank you so much, Susanna, and thank you so much for the warm welcome. And hello, everybody. As you can probably tell, you're thinking, she's from Texas? That doesn't sound like a Texan accent to me. So I am originally from Ireland. I'm from Dublin, but living in the States on and off for over 20 years. So today is all about you. It's all about getting clear on what you would love in your life. And I'm going to give you a nice framework. So today what I'm going to do is give you a framework to work with. But then this work takes time. So I'm going to encourage you and invite you actually to really give this time the time it deserves, creating a vision. And before we begin, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. So I was a modeler for 20 years and traveled around the world. And during that time, I struggled terribly with mental health, depression, anxiety, and addictions, and started moving into the wellness space, studying nutrition for many years. Then became a raw foods master, an NLP practitioner, a coach in various different capacities, transformational coach, life coach, dream builder coach. I am a heart math facilitator. I'm a master breathwork teacher, and I've been a meditation teacher for a very long time. So I weave everything into the work that I do. I'm a holistic practitioner in that I look at the full 360 of what's going on in someone's life, but primarily looking at it through the lens of childhood trauma and stress, and how do we overcome the pain, and how do we learn from everything we've been through. So I am a single mother myself. I've been a single mom for 12 years. My journey is that I separated from my son's father after a long relationship, and I only discovered I was pregnant a couple of weeks after. And so there was no going back for me because we had broken up for a very good reason. And so I have never known what it's like to have any support. His dad's not in my life, never has been. So it's always just been me and my son. I was laughing with Susanna before. I said I did do a little bit of dating, which consisted of 2 dates, one when he was 18 months old and one when he was about 2, and decided this, I am going to stay my own for various reasons. And so it's been a really interesting journey because, as you know, some of you, we all have different journeys and in parenting anyway, whether you're single or, you know, with partners. But mine was very interesting because at 32, I became pregnant and I was back in Ireland at the time. I actually thought, I'm going to stay in Ireland. I'm going to raise my child in Ireland. I'll be near my family and I need the support. And I had to deal with a lot of personal shame and guilt that came up. And I often thought about, you know, in Ireland, we threw women in Magdalene laundries when they were pregnant for a number of decades to do with the church when they were young. And we hid them away and we told them that they went on vacation and took their babies off them and sold them, had them adopted. And then, you know, you came back and you told a story that you were on vacation for 9 months. And I remember being stopped by people in the street saying, gosh, you used to be a really successful model and now you're going to be a single mom. In other words, like, it's all fucking over. That's it for you, you know, you're done for, you know. And it was really interesting because in the early days of becoming a mom, a part of me bought into that story. Like, I really bought into that story. I bought into that story of, I'm a single mom now, so I can't have what I could have had before. I can't have the level of success I had before. And a huge part of my work, I'm a motivational speaker and I work with corporates in America and I speak on stages to thousands of people. And one of the things I speak about is the power of our story and the power of our story and our belief system, and that we create from that belief system. And I kept creating people saying shitty things to me when James was really tiny. And my confidence was the lowest it's ever been. I was piss poor broke, excuse my language. And I was really it was like a self-fulfilling prophecy. I was like, well, this is it for me now because I'm living in this teeny tiny cottage. Well, first of all, I was living on my own with my mom. And I was like, never going to be able to afford to buy a house, never going to be able to afford to do this, never going to be able to afford to do that because I'm a single mom. And every sentence ended with, because I'm a single mom. And I ended up training and doing all this work and working with amazing coaches myself. And I am the proud owner of my own house here in Texas on 4 acres, which I bought by myself. There you go. And started realizing over the last decade that I am the person in charge and I want to step into my power and I want to really transform my life and feel what it feels like to go in for these deep core wounds that are running the show, and these toxic thought patterns and these stories that were fed by a pretty toxic society sometimes, and transcend them and overcome them and empower other women, especially single moms and dads, actually to do the same. Because yes, you have a story, but your story doesn't determine your future. And yes, we all have a freaking history, but our history doesn't determine the person we become in the future either. So today we're going to talk about you, and we're going to talk about tapping into a different part of you that transcends the limiting beliefs that you have. And you're going to start asking yourself more powerful questions. Not what do I want? What can I have? What should I do? What do I feel like I deserve? What do other people think I deserve? But what would I love? What would I love if I knew that absolutely nothing was in my way? What would I love? Economy, life situation, or whatever. What would I love? That's the part of you I want you to tap into today. So where are you all joining me from? I love listening where people join. Just pop in the chat box for me. Where are you? I love seeing all the different places that we're tuning in from. I love that this way of connecting is awesome. East London. I used to live in East London myself. South Wales. I used to live in Brick Lane for a while, so I ate a lot of Indian, and it was like wafting through my apartment all the time. And then I lived in Tower Bridge for a while, actually. Wolverhampton in West Midlands, Worcester, South Coast, already inspired. Oh, thanks, Ella. Wiltshire, near Stonehenge. Okay, so I'm also a shaman, trained shaman. So of course I'm like an alchemy student. So Stonehenge, I'm like lit up the sacredness. Armagh, welcome, Kat. Well, welcome everybody. And today, my intention for you is that you leave a little bit more inspired, a little bit more lit up about the potential and the possibilities for you and your life and your kids and everything. But this is the next while that we have together. This is all about you. And I really want you to focus on yourself. So let's ground ourselves. I'm a meditation teacher. I don't do anything without bringing everybody's energy into this room and opening our hearts. So let's sit comfortably, placing your 2 feet on the ground. I want you to really feel the connection of the ground beneath your feet. And closing your eyes for me and turning your attention inwards. Just give yourself a moment to arrive. Arrive into your body, relaxing those shoulders for me. Relaxing your jaw, and begin to practice long, slow, deep breaths in and out through your nose, first of all, please. In and out through your nose, long, slow, and deep. And as we slow our breath down, we signal safety to our central nervous system, becoming more present, becoming more aware. And I want you to follow your next in-breath deep into your heart center, placing a hand on your heart as you do, really connecting in with our heart space. And for today's session, we're going to open our heart, invite our heart into our session. So I want you to begin to practice heart-focused breathing. So breathing in through your heart space and expanding your heart's energy. Beautiful. And on each out breath, release and let go of anything that no longer serves you, any worries, any stress, any overwhelm. So we're breathing in the new expansion, and we're letting go of the old. Let it go. A couple more of these heart-focused breaths for me. And I'm going to invite you to set a heart-focused intention for yourself today. What would you love to get from today's session? Maybe that looks like just a bit more clarity, feel more centered, grounded, more confident maybe. Everybody's on a different path, a different stage on their journey. We're all having a completely different experience in this game of life. So what's live for you right now? What's going on for you? Maybe you would like to just listen and be a little bit curious as to the possibilities for yourself, to learn something new or see something differently. So let's take a nice big deep breath together. Hold at the top for me. Hold, sustain that breath. And when you're ready, a nice big audible sigh. Let it all go. Beautiful. And when you're ready, you can gently open your eyes. And then we're going to get into this workshop. So the name of today's workshop is Envision Your Life, because we are the visionaries, we are the creators. And today we're going to look at what is a vision and what is a vision statement? How do we create one? And I want you to really leave today's session with a greater clarity around your own personal goals and dreams. So raise your hand if you've some area of your life you'd like to improve. I'm going to raise two because I think there's always something that we can improve. Kate's hand went up first. And so whether it's health and well-being, relationships, parenting, job, how we give back in the world, maybe time and money freedom is an area that you're struggling in. This is the workshop for you because we're going to be looking at all these different areas and we're going to be really tuning in and focusing on what's not going well and then transforming that into a vision today. So I teach about energy. I'm an energy coach. And what I teach about is that everything in this universe is energy. So energy is contagious. And so we know if somebody who has got beautiful, expansive, high vibrational energy walks into a room, we say, wow, they just lit up the room. We also know if somebody comes in and they're a Debbie Downer, let's say, that we go, geez, they just sucked the life out of the room, you know, the whole energy changed. So we have those extremes and everything in between. So your energy introduces you before you even open your mouth. And so we can manage our own energy. We can be our own energy management system. How I like to explain this is that, say we all get $100 or pounds or euros from the Bank of the Universe every day, no matter who you are, where you're from, where you're brought up, everybody gets $100 of energy from the Bank of the Universe. So I'm going to give you two different scenarios. Person A wakes up, scrolls through their phone, starts worrying about what they have to do, feels rushed, overwhelmed, skips breakfast, and is late for work, okay? So for each one of those things, they've lost $50. So they're starting their day in deficit at minus $100. So they're going to spend their time trying to catch up, okay? This usually leads to burnout, stress, overwhelm. Person B wakes up, gives themselves some nice space in the morning, maybe meditates for 10 minutes, does some breath work, does some exercise, has a really healthy, nutritious breakfast, and starts their day in gratitude with an open heart, and they get $50 for all of that. Let's say they make $200. Person A is starting with minus 100, whereas person B is starting with $300 in their energy bank account in the morning. That's the easiest way I have to describe it to people, because we're creating this life moment by moment, choice by choice. Therefore, we start where we are, and we have the potential to move our life in a very different trajectory, in a very different direction. So I love this video. Let me know if you can hear it.
Long.
Okay, so who started smiling? Give me a thumbs up, give me a yes. Who started smiling after we were listening to the baby laughing? This is a perfect example. Even if you're in a really crappy mood and you start listening to a baby giggle, there's something in you that starts to move. It starts moving energy. So hands up who started laughing, put yes in the chat box. You know, who felt that? Who could feel the shift in energy when they were watching that? Samantha raising her hand. Yes, says Vicky. And it's really interesting. And so your energy, we're like co-creators. We feed off each other. We feed off people's energy. And if you're not in charge of your own energy, you're going to be pulled in all different directions by people around you. So today we're going to talk about getting clarity and grounding in your own energetic frequency. So awareness is the greatest agent for change. So one of the things we're going to talk about today is you have to have the intention of becoming aware of where I'm standing in my own way, where I'm blocking my own good from coming to me, what kind of belief systems I have. And so we expand and open our awareness, so we become more curious, we can see our blind spots, and therefore we can change them. So here's an awareness video that was actually used on a commercial in the UK.
This is an awareness test. How many passes does the team in white make?
Go!
The answer is 13. But did you see the moonwalking bear?
It's easy to miss something you're not looking for. So, how many people saw the moonwalking bear? Hands up the first time. And he was very clearly there. I know I didn't the first time. And it's so important because when we have the intention, Ella says no. So when we have the intention to expand our awareness, we start to see more and more of what's available to us. So each and every one of us are far more capable than we realize, far more capable. And the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your thinking. And this is really, really important as we begin to create our vision today. This is how we live. So first of all, our thoughts create our feelings. Those feelings generally determine our actions. And then those actions will determine the results. Now, we all know if we're feeling amazing and we've high vibrational thoughts, we're feeling good about ourselves, we're going to want to eat better, exercise, be kinder about people. We're going to want to take positive action, and therefore our results are going to be good. But if our thoughts are negative, complaining, Debbie Downer thoughts, we're not feeling good about life, we're stuck in a loop, we're stuck in old patterns, we're not going to feel great. And because we're not going to feel great, we're not going to feel like taking the actions we know are going to really drive the results that we would love. So the easiest way to look at this is go to the end of this and look and say, am I experiencing the results that I would love in all the different areas of my life? And if the answer here is no, well, then you got to go back down here and say, okay, so what's out of alignment? Are the kind of thoughts I'm entertaining not serving me? What kind of feelings am I having on a day-to-day basis? And what kind of action am I taking? We live in a world where we have information overload, so much information. It's insane. The personal development industry that I'm in is $1 billion industry. We have like thousands of self-help books. But the problem is that very little of it is actioned. Like I have people that I coach that come to me for a discovery call, and they know everything. They know more than me. And I'm like, okay, so what does that look like on a day-to-day basis? And they're like, well, that's the problem. I'm not really putting it into action. So the most important thing that we can do is take action. We're in an action-oriented universe. Take action on your dreams. The richest place in this universe is the graveyard. It's people who live but never take action on their dreams. So today we're going to do dream building principle number 1, which is designing your dream. So essentially today you're becoming the architect. You're taking a step back and you're like, what would I love? What would I love to be, do, have in all areas of my life? Okay, this is exciting. So it's like if you were building your house, you wouldn't just say, you know, there's a plot of land over there and say to the builder, just go and throw us up a house there, will you? And I'll be back in 3 months. And the builder's like, well, I don't know, what kind of house do you want? And you're like, well, 3-bedroomed house. And then you come back 3 months later and you're like, oh my God, it's awful. I hate it. There's nothing nice about this house. The kitchen's facing the wrong way. The bathroom's not big enough. And the builder's like, you just told me to throw up a house. And that's how most people live their life. They're not really designing a life that they would love living. Most people spend more time focusing on a vacation for a week to escape their life than they do creating a life that they're living in every single day. So how about instead of dreading different days of the week or trying to escape from our life from time to time, how about the radical idea of creating a life that you actually love being in every day? How about that? Because it's 100% possible. There's only 2 ways we create in this life. We're either consciously designing the life we're in, or we're defaulting back to our old ways. Now, when we look at designing our life, it means we take full responsibility, that we are the designer, that we're the person making the decisions, and we start really becoming conscious of what we're calling in. Otherwise, we know this from New Year's Eve. People get up, they're going to change everything in 24 hours. And a few weeks later, they've defaulted back to their old patterns. That default pull tug is very, very strong. It's magnetic. As soon as you miss a couple of days of the gym, up and back to my old ways again. So we have to wake up and consciously decide to live differently. So I love this video because before you go to write your vision today, and you are going to be doing some writing with me now, I want you to watch this video because I just think it's so inspiring, because why not you?
I want you to ponder these 4 questions. The first question to ponder when you go home is why? Why go this far? Why try to learn this much? Why study? Why put yourself out? Why try to earn as much as you can earn, share as much as you can share? Why try to become all that you can possibly become? Why develop yourself to the full? Why try to do it all? Why try to take on this much responsibility? Develop every skill you possibly can, see every human you possibly can, go to every class you possibly can, touch everybody you possibly can. Why do that much? Why go that far? Why share that much? Why give that much away? Why try to see everything? Why try to do everything? Why try to become everything? The first question to ponder when you go home is why. Here's another good answer to why. It's the second question. Why not? Why not see how much you can earn? Why not see how much you can learn? Why not see how many skills you can develop? Why not see what kind of person you can become? Why not see what kind of influence you can have? Why not see how many people you can rescue from oblivion? I want you to take that personally. Why not? Why not? You've got to stay here till you go. I mean, what else are you going to do? Why not see how much you can do, how far you can go? Now, here's number 3. Why not you? You've got the brains. You can make decisions. You can study the plan. You can change your life. You can grow immensely in the next few years. You can make your dreams come true. You can build a financial wall around your family nothing can get through. You can become healthy. You can become powerful. Why not you? My very last question on the questions to ponder is why not now? There never was a better time. And what a time now for us to take this dream and not let it die. Take this dream and give it life. Take this dream and breathe into it your own personal spirit until finally it becomes a flame that burns around the whole world.
Why not you, and why not now? So what we're going to do is we're going to break this vision up. By the way, I love when he says, I always hear something different in that video. Today I started laughing when he said, you've got to stay here till you go. So why not? And it's like, yeah, it's so true. I've got to stay here till I go, till I die. So why not put some conscious effort and work into making it the best life you've ever had? Because you're worth it. So we're going to break it into 4 different categories today to make it easier to work with. We're going to start with our health and well-being. Then we're going to move into relationships. Then we're going to look at our job and vocation. And then we're going to look at time and money freedom. So keeping it in those 4 quadrants. And our goals and our dreams actually are often born out of the challenges that we face. We often rise after experiencing something that really challenges us in our life, and we get to a real insight into who we are and what we're capable of and what we're capable of overcoming. And I think each and every one of us as single parents can resonate with that there is a strength inside each and every one of us that was woken up one day through many different things that we experience in our life. And there's lots of things that if I look back in my life and think, I thought I would never, ever get through certain things. And I did. And I came out stronger, because it's who you become after life throws curves at you. It's who you become in the process that determines the life that you're going to live in the future. So there's 2 essential energies. There's the pain of your problem, And then also the burning desire for what you want. What is it that you desire in this life? And these are actually essential for creating new results in your life. So there's two signals for our growth. There's our longing and there's our discontent. Now, just even listen to the word longing. Like you might have a longing to be in a loving relationship. You might have a longing to feel healthier and fitter. You might have a longing to get a deep, restful night's sleep. You might just be discontent with the choices you're making every day, discontent with food choices, discontent with, not showing up for yourself. So longing and discontent, this is what we're going to look at first, okay? So I want you to write bullet points for these for our first one, because I want us to get clarity on what's not working so that then we can funnel that into creating your beautiful vision. So I want you to write at the top of the piece of paper, health and well-being. And I just want you to write down bullet points of where you have longing, where you have discontent, where you just don't feel satisfied, where you just don't feel filled up here. You might long to have more energy, stop overworking and give yourself more time at the weekend, do more things that bring you joy and fun. Maybe you're skipping meals. Maybe you're staying up too late watching Netflix. Everybody's different. So in your health and well-being, where are you not happy right now? Start writing a list of bullet points, and I'm going to give you a minute to do that. Okay, amazing. So that's health and well-being. And like I said at the beginning, what I'm doing today in this workshop is I'm giving you a framework. So you can spend hours on this. You can really give it time and sit and contemplate with each quadrant. But I'm going to invite you to move on to relationships now. When we look at relationships, we're looking at all of our relationships, or personal relationships, friends, family, work relationships. Where's your longing? Where's your discontent? Like maybe you'd love to find your tribe. Maybe you'd love to find a new job where you really feel seen, heard, and validated, and you're surrounded by people that lift you up. Maybe you'd love to be in a deep, loving relationship. Maybe you'd like to meet someone where you can have some fun. What does this look like for you? And maybe you'd like to work in the relationship with your children. Maybe that's something that's really important to you. And again, it's all different. So you've got a minute now writing down bullet points of your longing and your discontent. Love and relationships. Okay, beautiful. So that's relationships. And now you're starting to get the hang of it. So we're going to move into job and vocation. So where are you not happy here? Where are you not satisfied? Maybe, you know, if you don't work, and maybe you'd love to give back in some way. If you do work, maybe there's, you know, something else you'd like to be doing. Maybe you'd love to start your own business. Maybe you'd love to go for that different role within your office. So we're very different in all of these areas. There's no right or wrong way. There's no right or wrong path. It's your way. It's your path. So where are you not happy in the area of job and vocation? Write some bullet points down for this now. Okay, beautiful. And now we're going to look at our final quadrant, which is time and money freedom. Now, I know as a single parent, when we look at time, we can always feel like time is against us, you know, driving here, driving there. But if we can reframe our relationship to stress and time and, you know, first of all, I want you to focus right now on where you're struggling, where you're really struggling in this space. You know, would you like more financial freedom to be able to make different choices? Let's get that all down on paper first, because then I'm going to be encouraging you to dream big. So you've got a minute to write down bullet points of where you're struggling with time and money freedom. Okay, amazing. So that's our longing and our discontent. Okay, so we've given that focus, we've brought it into our conscious awareness. And now what I want you to do is just shake that off. Do a nice shake. Everything's energy. Nice big deep breath. Shake off your current circumstances and conditions. Take a nice big nourishing deep breath. Because now we are going to start dreaming. Okay, so what we're going to do, and let me explain this to you. So we have a couple of things left. So this is where I want you to notice the shift in energy. We're going to move into dreaming, and then I've got a really fun exercise at the end called Time Machine, where we're actually going to stand up and embody this. So this is super fun. So I'm going to invite you to play full out for this. So we're going to use 3 years from now. So it's August 15th and it's 2026. So August 15, 2026, why do we do this? Because if you started telling yourself to dream 6 months from now, the part of your brain that, you know, fights for its limitations will start going, well, you didn't do that 6 months ago, or you didn't do that before, or you can't do that. So 3 years from now is far enough in the future to suspend disbelief. And you're going to put down health and well-being, and you're going to, we always start with a template of gratitude, right? An attitude of gratitude. So you're going to write down, I'm so happy and grateful now that. That's going to be your prompt. It's going to be our prompt for each of our quadrants. And then I want you to write as if it's already happened. And I'm going to give you an example of health and well-being, because this is how manifestation works. It doesn't work by figuring out the how. That's where we all get stuck. We think that if we find out the how, that we know how to do it. But think about it. You only know what you know. You only know what you've experienced so far. So if you're trying to call something in that you've never experienced, how are you supposed to know? How are you supposed to know the how? Like, it's ridiculous. So what we do in this work is we let the how, we just put it to the side and say thank you, and we just let it go for now. And we're going to dream. So I'm so happy and grateful now that. I'm so happy and grateful now that, Yvonne. Yeah. I'm so happy and grateful now that. So let me give you an example of health and well-being. So let's say, for example, you're chronically stressed in the morning, you don't give yourself any time, you're always overwhelmed, you're always skipping breakfast, you've no energy as you move through your day, yada, yada, yada. So this is what your vision could look like. I am so happy and grateful now that I wake up giving myself enough time in the morning to really start my day with peace and calm. I like to meditate and ground myself, and I give myself time to have a beautiful, nourishing breakfast. This really sets the tone for the day ahead. I love cooking with my family, and I love taking a walk with nature. I feel so energized and vital as I move through my day. I've made a great effort to go to bed earlier, and this has really made all the difference with how I feel. So whatever it looks like to you, but what you're using is positive language in the present tense. So if you're stressed and overwhelmed, don't use the word stress, because you're going to have a relationship with that. So when you read your vision back and you say, I'm not stressed anymore, you're immediately going to feel stressed, right? Words have power. So what is the opposite of stressed? I feel so energized and vital as I move through my day, right? Because if you're feeling energized and vital, you're not stressed, right? You're not. So we're using the opposite. So what would you love is the question I want you to hold in your heart. Like, if I was to give you, if this pen was a magic wand, and I said to you, here's a magic wand, and there is nothing that can stop you from having this dream, like nothing at all. You can have whatever you want. That's where I want you to be writing this vision from. I want you to really expand, like, think of your 7-year-old self who had a really vivid imagination. You know, kids, you ask them what you want to be. I want to be an astronaut. I'm going to be the president of America. And they haven't learned all the shitty beliefs that we have, right? They haven't built up all these layers of, I'm such a crappy person and I'm not good enough yet. And so they're like, I can be, do, and have anything because I'm awesome. So I want you to tap into that younger version of yourself who's like, I can be, do, have anything. I'm awesome. Because your life is not determined by the circumstances and conditions outside of you. We think it is. It's actually what's going on in here. The point of power is within you. We create from within us. We live in a mirror universe. So you can be, do, and have anything you want. But you've got to shift the narrative. You've got to look at where you're fighting for your limitations. It's really interesting that most of us fight for our limits, right? We're the ones standing in our own way all the time. So this is an opportunity to, you know, if it's your first time doing anything like this, notice if it's uncomfortable. Notice if you feel constricted. Notice if this feels a little weird. That's okay, because nothing happens in your comfort zone. So if you're feeling uncomfortable right now, I say good. I want to get you into that uncomfortable zone so that you can grow. So you're going to give you 1.5 minutes, just a little bit longer for this, because you're going to be writing as opposed to bullet points. So get going now, 1.5 minutes for health and well-being. I'm so happy and grateful now that, and describe how amazing you feel 3 years from now. Let me get you some writing music. Okay, beautiful. And I'm just going to say to be continued. If you've got loads of stuff you want to write about, and yeah, to be continued, because you can spend time on this. And what I'm going to say about your vision statement and your document, it's in an ever evolving document, right? It's never finished because we're always evolving, we're always growing. So this is just a first draft. So now moving on to love and relationships, and you're going to start again with, I'm so happy and grateful now that, like, maybe I'm thinking of my own personal experience a few years ago where I moved to a new country and I didn't have anybody like-minded people around me, and I was really craving community. So in my vision statement, I wrote, I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm surrounded by the most amazing community. I feel so loved and seen and heard, and we have so much fun together. And I go on girls' weekends and we go on day trips, and I have created that community, and I'm surrounded by the most loving, amazing people. It took time, but I stayed true to my vision and I called it in. So when we get clear in our vision and then we take action steps in our vision, the way will be shown. It's like the how, the doors begin to open. So love and relationships, what does this look like for you? If you were given a dream, a magic wand, I'm so happy and grateful now that, and you have 1.5 minutes beginning now. Be continued for love and relationships. Okay, now we're moving into job and vocation. 3 years from now, what would this look like? What would this look like? What would I love? What would I love? If I knew that I could be, do, have anything, what would I love? Oh, allow yourself to feel into the energy of that in job and vocation. And again, I'm so happy and grateful now that we have 1.5 minutes. Beautiful. 3 out of 4. Our final quadrant, time and money freedom. I am so happy and grateful now that I'm financially free. Oh, I've had the most wonderful 3 years where I've traveled to South Africa to go on safari, and we took a trip to the south of France, which is something we've always wanted to do. And I have so much more time freedom in my weekends to spend time with people I love. And the most important part of it is I'm having so much more fun, and joy seems to be a constant in my life. So that pretty much gives you an essence of what's in my vision statement at the moment. So I'm so happy and grateful now that time and money freedom, 1.5 minutes begins now. Okay, beautiful. I'm going to answer all questions just after we do this exercise. So what I would love you to do now, we're going to do something called time machine, my favorite exercise of all time. Don't you love the car I picked? So time machine is, and we'll come back in for that quote at the end. So time machine is when we're going to feel the embodiment of this energy work. So everything is energy work. So we got to feel it in our physical body. So I'm going to show you what we're going to be doing. So this is basically what you're going to be doing. You're going to be taking 4 steps, one for each year, and then back round to the front. So 2024, 2025, 2026, back round to me. And I'm going to be saying to you, well, I haven't seen you in 3 years. Oh my gosh, tell me what's been going on. You'll all be muted, but I would love for this part if you could put your cameras on, because you get more out of the interaction energetically when you feel like you're speaking to me and I can see your faces. So just for this exercise. And then you're going to say your vision statement out loud. So it is so good to see you. Oh my gosh, wait until I tell you. I love my life. It's amazing. I'm so happy and grateful now that I feel the fittest and happiest I have ever felt. I'm so energized. Every single day I move my body in whatever way that feels for me, maybe some yoga or some running, or I like to go to the gym. Oh, I love my morning routine. I give myself some peace and calm. I just sit with a cup of tea and I set a nice heart-centered intention for the day. I really feel that this helps me move through the day with ease and grace. I love practicing the pause and being more mindful about how I'm living. I'm really conscious about what I'm putting in my body, and I'm making great decisions around food. And because of this, I actually love cooking now. Let me tell you about the new business I started. Well, it took a quantum leap, and I met the most wonderful group of people who just light me up, and I love spending time with them. And we've been having all of these amazing vacations where the kids have just created so many amazing memories. And I feel like I've really relaxed into this more joyful space in my life. Time and money freedom, well, I am finally financially free. I can't tell you how good that feels. I have so much time to spend with people I love, doing the things I love. We travel all the time. We have a whole wall of memories in our bedroom. And I can't tell you how good it feels to have choice and to be earning money doing something I really love. And then at the end, what you're going to say is this or something even greater still, because it's like, this is the standard. This is the standard, nothing lower. This is the standard. But I know the universe or God knows much more than I do. So it's like this or whatever you think is better. I'll take that too. So when I say stop, I want you to just take a moment to close your eyes or lower your gaze and feel the energy that you've created in your body, because this is the energy of your dream. And I want you to take a couple of deep breaths in that space and really feel that energy integrating into your physical body, because this is how we create. Okay, so on your feet, bit of Gloria Estefan, everybody's probably much younger than me. Get up and make it happen. Okay, on your feet, I'm going to count you in, and you are going to be turning to the left. You're going to be taking 4 steps, 1 for each ear, and then back around to me. Okay, so on your marks, get set, go. 1, 2, 3, back around to me. Hello, everybody. How are you? I can't believe it's been 3 years since I've seen you. Tell me everything. What's going on in your life? Yes, Yvonne, I can feel that dream. Talk to me. Okay, and stop. And as you stop talking, just lower your gaze, take a nice deep breath in and feel the energy in your body. Just feel that energy in your body for a minute. This is the energy of your vision. You've been speaking your dreams out loud. Your future, which is essentially your present, so we create from now. And just notice what it feels like, the energy of possibility. Speaking out loud what your heart desires. What does that feel like for you? Taking a nice big deep breath in. This is my life. Life looks good in you all in 2026, I have to say. So I'm just going to share one final quote and then we'll take some questions. So the light of meaning is within us all. It doesn't depend on what we own or what we do, but rather from energies like happiness, peace, and love that vibrate through the universe that we are channels for if we allow it. So thank you so much for joining me for today's session. I would absolutely love to answer any questions. I would love to hear how you felt after that. You can pop something in the chat box. You can let me know, do you feel different to when you started today's session to how you felt now? Everything's welcome. And I see Yvonne's question.
I feel like I want to go out now, Alison. I'm all like,
you're energized.
yes, there's a question from Yvonne. No, I literally feel totally energized. Yeah, there was a question from Yvonne earlier. So let me just find it. So what do you do if it seems these have come to fruition, but not how you expected them, are elements that don't seem to fit in your desires?
Okay, so are you talking about, Yvonne, would you like to come on camera and speak to me so I can get a little bit more clarity around that question?
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Thank you. Yeah,
yeah.
So I think I've somewhat been following or doing elements of these steps which you've taught us. And you know, sometimes, oh yeah, it's happening. So you don't want to seem ungrateful because you've almost actually got what you asked for. But then there are elements of it that they just don't fit into what you ask. I don't want to give an example of the exact thing that's happening. But okay, say like I got the job that I wanted, but if maybe the location wasn't right, it's almost like, oh, do I seem ungrateful because I got the job and it's going great and I got the money? Do I just keep going even though the location is just somewhat challenging? Do I wait for maybe the rest of the dream to come with it? Like,
Yeah.
am I just waiting or do I actually need to rethink?
So this all comes down to your journey or intuition. But this is a really great question because I've had so many clients go through different versions of this. I teach like a 3-month program, and what can happen is we get very excited when we do this work and say, you know, I had a client recently who had a job interview and she was like, this is it, this is my job, this is my job, this is my job. And she went for the interview and she didn't get it. And she ended up being insanely disappointed and really upset and thinking all this manifestation, all this personal work is bullshit, right? You know, because that was my job and I didn't get it. Now, 3 months later, the perfect job showed up and she was able to turn around to me and say, oh my God, I'm so grateful I didn't get that job 3 months ago because this really is my perfect job. Like this really is the job I was looking for. I thought it was the one 3 months ago, but it would depend on how far is it? Like, is it in a different country, state, city, or is it a little bit further than I wanted to drive? So in that situation, you have to look at, you know, what is it that I'm willing to do for this dream? Or you can take another tact and go, wow, I'm really good at manifesting, but you know what? I don't want to drive that far. So you get clear in your vision and go, this exact job, but closer to me, please. Or this exact job, but maybe I can do it virtually. So when we're manifesting, this is the reason why we put this or something even greater still at the end of it, because it's not always going to look the way you have got it exactly written. So we have to be open to it looking slightly different, right? So have an awareness of how the universe is trying to work with you. And when we say this or something even greater still, what you could be proving to yourself in this is, I'm an amazing manifester. I've literally manifested 80% of it. If I can do 80%, I can do 100. Right? But and sometimes we take something as a stepping stone to where we're going. Right? So sometimes there's different steps as well to where we're going. So I work with clients on a very individual basis where we tease these things out. Right? Like we work through your core values and we look at alignment and aligning with your core values. So that also comes into what dictates a yes or a no. Right. So it might be something that's yes, but if you're like, I have my core values always here in front of me. Right. So when I'm making decisions, if I'm doing a job, if a motivational talk comes in, the first thing I do is look down and go, does it align with love, which is one of my core values? Am I making decisions in fear or love? There's only 2 ways we make decisions. Does it align with family? So if the job comes in a time where my son's got a really important soccer match or there's something happening, well, then that's a hard no for me. Health, service, freedom, and integrity. So when you're able to, you know, answer these questions from a much deeper perspective. So the vision statement is like the first step of this work where we get clear in our vision. And then how we show up and say yes or no is dependent upon, are we in alignment? Okay, so we have to stay in connection to our path and in alignment too. Does that help, Yvonne, at all?
Yeah, that's actually really amazing. And yeah, it's almost like even though I go into something, I'm now able to actually ask myself these questions. And that last bit you said, that list, what did you call that list?
Your core values.
Okay, so yeah, like, yeah, I think this is the bit I was missing about whether what I have manifested or what has come to me is really for me and how to look at it. And yeah, so thank you for filling that gap.
Yeah, you're so welcome. And another way is checking in with your energy is, does this make me feel constricted or expansive? Constriction is usually fear, expansion, don't know what was coming out there, is usually love. So, you know, everything is about energy. When you get to really tune in with your energy and check in with yourself, you start to be able to, your body's always speaking to you. It's always giving you very, very clear signals of what's right for you. But we have to do the work, the self-inquiry work, to get to know ourselves a little bit better so that we can actually tap in and use our own inner guidance system and our intuition. And that takes time. That takes time. It takes, you know, continuous work and really going into it. So I think there's a few more questions here.
Yeah, so overall, generally, lots of people have said that they felt like they've had a really good experience on this evening. They feel hopeful and energized, and I definitely feel different from before I even joined the session from now. So that's amazing. Thank you very much and very inspiring. There's a few other questions. So one from Vicky says, it's Laura. How often would you recommend doing the writing exercises that we just did today?
So I would say every few months, take a look at your vision. But with my clients, I would get them to be reading their vision every day. So this would be the first stage of the program. And then we read the vision every day, take action steps while we're working through other things as you move through. So your vision is something you want to connect in with every day on an energetic level. And then it's going to change, right? Like, so it's like going into a store and looking at a dress on the hanger and going, God, that's gorgeous. And then you put it on and you're like, oh, it looks terrible on me, right? So we can have stuff in our vision and then we go for it and we go, actually, that's not what I want. That's really interesting. I thought I wanted that, but now that I've kind of taken some action towards it, that's not actually what I want to do. So this is all about kind of trying on possible futures for yourself. And we only know what we really want by getting out there and taking action. You know, so a lot of this work is about being able to let go of things when they're not working, or you're moving in a direction and then you go, oh, actually that's not working. That's interesting. I thought that was what's going to be right. And there is no such thing in my eyes as failure. It's just like, there's no such thing as failure at all. What is failure? It's redirection. It's like, oh, I tried that, it didn't work, but what did I learn from it, right? What's the gift from it? So very often we stop ourselves from moving forward in any direction because we're so afraid of failing. We're so afraid of doing it perfect. We're so afraid of not getting it right. And there really is no such thing. It's about moving forward with confidence and just taking the action step anyway, because that's the only way change is going to happen and our lives are going to be created. Nothing happens if nothing happens.
So true. Another question. I went through something 2 years ago and brought a power of positivity to a scenario that worked out amazing. But now I'm going through a recent separation with an 8-month-old and I just can't see the light at the end of it. I have always got through, but can't seem to break this barrier this time. Yes, the toughest thing, but I still feel that I'm wallowing and know what I need to do, but my body and brain just don't feel it.
Yeah. So, you know, it's important to allow ourselves to feel. There's a grieving process that you're going through. And so as human beings, actually, we talked about this super briefly, Susanna. Do you remember at the beginning of the call? And we were talking, like, before we came on today.
Yeah.
We were talking about this kind of interesting aspect of being a human being. Let me put it like that, where we just focus on the good, right? So I'm in recovery from alcohol and drugs, and I had chronic anxiety and depression for so long. Like, you know, to the point that doctors were like, you're just an anxious person. You're just somebody who's prone to depression. So that's just who you are, and you're going to have to live with that forever. Now, what I learned through all this work that I'm doing is that I was so scared of feeling anything negative. Like, even when my dad died at 21, the first thing the doctor said to me was, let's give you medication to stop you feeling sad. It was almost like a panic move. Shit, let's medicate you because you're going to go to bed tonight and you're not going to be able to cope with your emotions and the whole world is going to fall down. And so I had the story that there was a pill for every ill. And then, of course, I drank myself stupid with that as well. And what I realized is I was so terrified of these emotions, because it was like, if I was sad or grieving or angry or any of those things, that if I couldn't get rid of them, well, then we had to medicate them away. Like, but we had to do something because we had to get rid of them. What a fucking toxic train of thought, because we are here to experience the full gamut of what it means to be a human being. And I'm sorry if, you know, we don't want to grieve or we don't want to feel sad, but that's a really important part of being a human being. So the first thing I'm going to invite you to do is give yourself some grace. Like, you're a new mama and you've got an 8-month-old baby. That alone, in the happiest environment, I wrote a book up there for new moms called Minding Mom, It's Time to Take Care of You, is going to cause you to feel overwhelmed and out of sync and have days that are great and days that are not, and feel fucking exhausted and feel like you're running around with your hair on fire, or that you can't even get up to do anything. So just give yourself some grace, and sometimes even just giving yourself permission to have grace and space and breathe and allow yourself to feel the anger and the sadness and the fucking resentment and the bitterness, and feel it all and allow it all to come up, because feeling is so important for healing. And you will move through this, but sometimes we have to have a mini pity party. You know, I do sometimes. I feel sorry for yourself, and then I wake up and go, okay, enough of feeling sorry for yourself. We've got to move on.
Yeah.
But it's important that we allow ourselves to feel, because we're here to feel it all, and not to just be 50% of a human, but to be 100%. Now, I am going to be doing a breathwork session with Frollo in September, I think, is it?
Yeah. Yeah, September.
I encourage you to come through. It's a deep transformational breathwork journey. The session will be about 90 minutes. 45 minutes of that would be intense breathing, but that's going to really help to move these deep emotions through on a somatic cellular level. And it really helps. So things like breath work to move stuff through, this kind of work, but also just meet yourself where you are right now, because then the breakthrough comes through full acceptance of being here now. And I hope that helps, Kat. If you do want to unmute, or if you don't, that's okay. But I hope that helps.
I'm sure it really will. And then the last question from Cheryl was that I feel positive and able to make all these changes, but sometimes I feel limited in possibilities due to the wanting and needing to be around all of our children all of the time. I think all of us can summon into that one. However, you have answered a lot of what that she was asking. Kids do come first, but stepping stones can be made. And that's so very true, isn't it? Small little changes is surely how you can start.
Like small steps are going to get you there, and consistency is the most important thing. So 5 minutes of doing something every day. I am just going to challenge the kids come first a little bit, because when we always feel kids come first, then we can leave ourselves on the back burner, and we can neglect an awful lot of, you know, our health and our well-being. When mom is filled up, when dad is filled up, when our cups are full, we overflow and we pour into our children naturally without effort. It's a natural co-creative experience. So it is really important to create space for yourself, and whatever way that looks like. That can be 5 minutes of saying to the kids, like when James was a baby, I had a really hardcore meditation teacher. He was a Buddhist teacher, and he took no shit. And that's exactly the kind of teacher I needed, because Kat, when I say that I was stuck in my victim, like, you know, I'm a single mom, his dad's in America, isn't it fucking well for him? He's not going to do anything for me. And I was like really in it, right? And I wanted everybody to be in it with me, because poor me, I don't understand how hard my life is. And I remember walking into a meditation retreat, and Sagyong Rinpoche said to me, well, and he knew me for years, so he was well used to how resistant I could be. Even though I showed up and did the retreats, I was still resistant to the work. And he'd say, how's your meditation practice going? And I launched into this story about having a baby and having no time. And he turned around to the room and he went, Alison wants the whole world to stop and create space for her so that she can do all this. And I was like, oh, dare you, in front of everyone, how dare you do that to me? And listen to me, the victim, me. He's doing it to me, you know? And he was the best teacher I ever had, because he was able to snap me out of that mode that I was in. And he said to me, okay, so this is what I want you to do. I want you to meditate for an hour every morning and an hour every evening. And so what I heard was, I want you to meditate 24 hours a day and completely neglect your child and not be a mom and forget about everything that you have to do. That's what my ego heard, right? Because the ego is the one that's clinging on to this. And so week one, I was like, yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, fine, I'll do it, because like I'm going to prove you wrong. So well, why not? So week one, I did it. And I'm kind of like, you know, bullish like that. And I kind of wanted to prove him wrong. And then, so nothing really moved in week one. I mean, I probably did feel a bit of a difference. Week two, I wasn't stressed with James. I was finished my work much quicker. I had loads of time in the evening and I was sleeping better. And by week 3, everything got fucking easier. Like, I mean, everything. And I was like, what he was teaching me is that we learn through experience. So we can say meditation's great, breath work is great, this is great, I have no time. I teach in corporates all over the world on the myth of no time. That's one of my talks. And it's really interesting because CEOs, everybody has this, I have no time, I have no time, I have no time. So we create from that reality then. So we wake up and we're chasing life. And so that was the greatest gift he ever gave to me, because he said, you have to actually experience your relationship with the world. And if your relationship with the world is that everything is out to get you, guess what? You're always going to prove yourself right. And what he was teaching me is that when we give to ourselves, we get our life back. And so as moms, it's really important that we fill our cup, because our kids are learning from what they see, not from what we say, but from what they see. And if they see a parent that takes care of themselves and carves out time for themselves and actually says to them, mommy or daddy is going to take 10 minutes now to go in and do this or sit or have a cup of tea, and they know that that's your time, then they're going to learn as they grow up that that's okay for them to do too. That's okay. It's okay for you to take time. I live in the States where it's the same everywhere, but in particular here, like, kids are scheduled, like, they have very little holidays, and even when they're in jobs, like, there's no maternity leave here or anything for moms. None. You go straight back to work. And so kids here, like, wake up and do sports before school from 6 in the morning, and they don't get home till 8 or 9 at night. And the parents come to me because I coach teenagers, and I'm a pretty hard ass coach. I'm like, you want me to work with your kid? I need to speak to you first. And they're like, okay. And then I say to them, your kid is learning that I have to be scheduled from 6 a.m. till 9 p.m. in the evening. And so they have chronic anxiety and they're overwhelmed. And what you're teaching them is that when they go out into the world, to be a person of worth, they have to be doing 24/7. And if they sit down for 5 minutes, they're going to feel shitty, shameful, guilty, and feel like they're not an active participant or a good person. And some parents are like, whoa. And then some parents will fight with that. But we have to understand what we're doing in society. Things are changing. But when we have a story that we have to be busy, busy, go, 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 go all the time, and we're teaching that to our kids, we're creating a cycle of stress and overwhelm and dysregulation. But if we teach our kids that it's okay to play and rest and create space, more happens for us when we create through space and play. Do you know that, like, it takes on average 400 times for a new neural pathway connection in our brain? And if we do it through play, it takes 2 times. Like, just listen to that for a moment. So we've got to learn to slow down to speed up. And that is a societal thing. It's a societal conditioning. So we've got to learn that how we show up for ourselves is going to determine the experience that we have of life. Like, I used to live in New York and all over the place. And, you know, I'm a product of putting this stuff into practice. I live in the middle of nowhere in 4 acres. And I thought when we first moved here, my dysregulation was so bad because, you know, I couldn't sit with myself. Like, I thought I had done all the work and been a meditation teacher for decades and blah, blah, blah. And then I moved to the middle of nowhere and realized, I was like, okay, James, let's get into the car. We're going for a cup of tea. And he's like, we're driving a half an hour into for a cup of tea. And I'm like, yes, mommy can't go being on her own to get in the car. And it took me a few months to kind of recognize, oh, that's what I did in LA and New York to distract myself, right? I kept going somewhere instead of just learning to be with myself. And that was my next level of evolution, to learn to be with how uncomfortable it was to be in peace. Because for those of us who are used to stress and overwhelm, peace is a very dangerous place. You know, it's not a safe place for those of us who have been used to trauma and chaos. Peace can be very unnerving. And so what we do is we self-sabotage in peace. So we've got to learn to regulate, and then we co-regulate our kids. But we don't teach our kids how to, like, if your kid is having a tantrum, and then I know that you've got another workshop, so I'm mindful of the time. I was working with Dr. Gabor Mate, who is world leader in addiction and trauma, when James was a toddler. And I went to him and I said, my son is throwing tantrums and I don't know what to do. And he said, he's throwing tantrums because of you. I mean, he just basically called me a bad parent. And I was in the car with my friend on the way home, and he was like, Alison, he's trying to help you. And I was in such a defensive mode. I was like, I mean, I do this and I do this and I do this. And then I had a deep breath, meditated on it, went back into class the next day with a different attitude and was like, how do I do this? And he said, turn inside, check yourself, check your energy, and check your nervous system, because all that child's doing is feeding off your central nervous system. And as soon as they started doing that, he stopped having tantrums.
Yeah.
So we co-regulate our children. That's what we do. We co-regulate each other anyway. We all co-regulate each other with our nervous systems. So one person in coherence with a calm nervous system can bring other people around them into regulation too. It's really fascinating when you study this work. So as a parent, I'm going to say to you, give to yourself first. It's not selfish. It's not selfish at all, because from that place and space, you don't even have to worry about giving to anybody else. You just do it naturally. It's so easy when your cup is full to pour into others. So easy, so easy. I was always trying to pour into others, but with nothing in my cup, nothing. And it's exhausting. That's what causes burnout and overwhelm.
It sure does. It sure does. Oh, well, Alison, we've run out of time now, I'm afraid, but thank you so very much. What a remarkable woman you are.
Thank you so much to everybody for showing up, for giving this your time, because, you know, this is a lot of time out of your day. So thank you to the Frollo community for having me. I'm deeply grateful. And it was an honor and a pleasure to spend time with you all today. Best of luck with everything. And join me.
Thank you very much. And we'll look forward to having you in September. I think we'll have even more of a queue of people wanting to be. So many people have just wrote, so amazing. Thank you ever so much. So thank you very much, Alison. Enjoy the rest of your day, stroke evening, and we'll see you soon. Thank you, everybody. Take care.